Now, a lot of people have been asking what's going on with Universe Mode this year. Well, WWE 2K have recently dropped the blog containing the changes for WWE 2K Universe this year, and that's absolutely huge. A lot of these changes are just kind of things that are going to get us by until they make the new engine, but that doesn't mean that they're not significant anyway. I mean, a lot of these are still great, and honestly, as a player of Universe Mode, and I actually use this quite a bit for things like my career universe and actually just simulating stuff as well, these things are actually going to make it a little bit nicer for me to play. So I don't know about you guys, but let's run these through the numbers. The major and minor show match limits have been increased from 7 matches up to 9, which means that you'll have up to 9 matches on NXT, Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live. It's completely down to you. The pay-per-view match limits have actually doubled from 7 to 14, which means you too can now have that 9-hour pay-per-view WrestleMania that you wanted. The number of championship titles per major show has increased from 6 to 7, which means that you could include a second Money in the Bank briefcase if you wanted to per show, or just another title. It's completely up to you. There will be more rivalries on major shows. These have actually increased from 3 to 4. Unfortunately, nothing has actually changed when it comes to whether or not you can have a 4-way rivalry, a 3-way rivalry. It is purely one-on-one or tag team rivalries. That hasn't changed at all. But pay-per-views can be co-hosted by up to 3 shows this year. Instead of just the normal 2, where normally you would get a Survivor Series SmackDown versus Raw, now you can involve NXT as well. That's kind of cool. I really like that addition, mainly because I would love to see a cross-branded pay-per-view where it involves the best of Raw, the best of SmackDown, and the best of NXT taking each other on. I think that would be absolutely great, to be honest with you, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. Players have more freedom to delete and add promos and matches. Basically, this means that we're going to have a lot more freedom to manipulate the actual cards for the major pay-per-views, for the Raws and SmackDowns, for any major shows. We're going to be able to just really manipulate that a lot more, so it'd be quite good to see how they're going to be doing this. I mean, obviously we haven't seen everything yet, but the screenshots that they have released are pretty nice from what I've seen. 50 of the most used cutscenes have been reshot with female mocap actors to look more authentic when female superstars are used. Now obviously the big push this year is going for more female superstars and more female inclusion this year, so that's obviously great. We love to see that, we love to see the inclusion, and a lot of people may actually play the game as females this year. I don't know what the actual demographic is, I don't know what the split is with people who play women, but you know, it's fair to say that I'm glad that they're giving them a shout, because let's face it, you can have women in storylines, let's give them some decent storylines. 25 new cutscenes have been added. Thank you. Cutscenes were a major gripe for me, and WWE 2K20 adding 25 new ones, that's good. I'm kind of hoping that they're not just redone old ones again that were cut from before, but you know, we'll have to wait and see what they're actually like. As you know, I will give you the deep dive for this. 3,040 new promo lines are in the game. They can add as many as they want, as long as they're not trash. Because some of the lines that we've had in this game before, in the other versions, were just... why? Custom matches can now be included in match tables along with new mixed tag matches. If you use the match tables, great. I personally don't, but this isn't really a huge thing, for me at least anyway, but it does allow you to make custom matches, chuck them in a match table for the computer to actually take randomly and assign to matches if you play Universe Mode. That way, I tend to get a little bit more hands-on because I like things to be done my way, not just picked randomly from the match table. New championship match setting in match tables can be used to make certain matches a title match. That means that essentially, if you wanted to, you could have a hardcore title, and then that hardcore title could only ever be defended in hardcore matches. At least that's my interpretation of it. I could be completely wrong about this. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Main event matches in match tables have been tweaked so that those match types are more likely to occur on the show. For example, the Royal Rumble match at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Now, from the sounds of this, I don't know personally, with this it seems a bit random, the main event matches weren't always likely to occur? I don't know. I'm going to leave this, guys, up to you to answer down in the comments, because I'm a little bit funny with what's happening here. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I always thought that if there was going to be a main event match, then it would definitely occur. I didn't realise there was an issue where if you went to the Royal Rumble, there wouldn't always be a Royal Rumble match. New rivalry content includes options such as low-intensity enemies making peace after a single pay-per-view, or low to mid-intensity allies slowly falling out over several weeks instead of a sudden turn. Basically, it sounds to me like they've overhauled, well, not overhauled, but slightly redone the rivalry system, which kind of makes sense because the rivalry system is kind of bare bones at the moment. You don't want to do everything all the time with it yourself. It's not always been great, it's not always been intuitive, and we tend to see the same things happen over and over and over again. But this, and adding a few more things, is definitely going to spice it up a little bit if you're using those rivalry modes. And of course, having 4 slots makes it a little bit easier for you. That, plus they've actually redone the menus apparently this year and made it a lot easier for people to navigate around. But of course, there are those of us out there that actually do use Universe mode quite extensively, so they've kept all the deeper menus that we like using, that we like seeing and delving into in there as well. They just made it look prettier, which I have absolutely no problem with, if I'm going to be honest with you, because there's nothing wrong with making something pretty as long as it works. But of course, this is one of those things that you have to look at and you have to think, really, realistically, is this enough to keep me interested? And of course, for me, I can say yes. I mean, these are things that people have asked for specifically, including things like more matches for pay-per-views, more matches for major shows. You know, the combinations of being able to use more than one major show and minor show in actual pay-per-views crossovering. There's quite a few things in here that people have specifically asked for, but I think that there is actually a lot of things that won't be addressed until Visual Concepts make their own engine. That's going to be something they're going to be looking at doing, but that's not being done right now. They you know, as far as I'm concerned, this is kind of like doing what they can until they've got the right tool for the job, because right now this Ukes engine that they've got, it's not great. It's like I've said before, it's been built and rebuilt and rebuilt and rebuilt so many times that it's just not doing great right now. So they're pushing it to its limit, but I fully expect a new engine to come out either next year or maybe the year after. Once that engine's made, I think a lot of the major things in Universe mode, I think a lot of the things that we sit there and go, I wish this was in Universe mode, or I wish that was in Universe mode, will likely be addressed very quickly, because it'll be their engine. They'll know how to manipulate it, they'll know how to push it, they'll know how to get the most out of it. So I think we'll just have to wait until then. For now, these are actually quite worthy additions. Of course, we can see that there have actually been quite a few decent people put in this year as well, judging by the screenshots. So as you can see on here, we do have several new superstar models that are being introduced here. So you can see we have Shinsuke Nakamura, we've got Apollo Crews, you can see Charlotte's render a little bit better on here, Ember Moon, Aleister Black we've already seen, Ali looks great, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville look good. Obviously, we're getting Asuka and Kairi Sane, both looking quite good this year. I'm actually quite impressed. Kevin Owens and Buddy Murphy we have already seen. Randy Orton we have not seen yet, but he looks good this year. Roman Reigns we've already seen. Andrade we have already seen as well, but there we get to see a very nice render of the gold standard. So there's quite a few new little bits in here that you may or may not have noticed. Quite a few new people. I mean, the other screenshot, you've got Kofi Kingston. I mean, that was obviously going to be confirmed. Anybody who thought that Kofi Kingston wasn't going to be confirmed this year, please don't. Just, of course. The other thing to note from this as well, which you may or may not have noticed, is the fact that it looks like the calendar system, which is something that I really wanted them to do, hasn't been fixed. 205 Live is still on a Thursday. It doesn't look like we have NXT UK actually on the calendar at all. And Raw just comes up as the next one on Monday. So whatever they're doing, I don't know what's going on with that. That's probably a new engine thing. For me, bit of a letdown. I really want a new calendar system, a new timing system, or something like that. Just kind of, I don't know what it is, but I need something different because they have so much content that goes on, not just on one day. I mean, you've got NXT and NXT UK, you've got SmackDown and 205 Live. Well, at least you used to anyway, because obviously SmackDown is moving down to Fridays, and now 205 Live is probably being dissolved and absorbed into NXT or spread about across the rest of the roster. But it looks like from here as well, you'll be able to see that the old Raw logo is actually being used. So no update on that one. The Raw and SmackDown logos are exactly what they were before, but obviously you've got the creation suite, just go and change it. It's not a big deal. The great thing is that we're going to be able to do that this year. And as you can see here from the menu, you do have Braun Strowman versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. Now, of course, I think the models on here look good, even though they do have vacant stares and they're all looking in the same direction. I don't know what they're all staring at, but it's very Children of the Corn. So it's the 12th match of it. There's quite a few things on here when you look at it. You can announce the cash-in, you can see the news, the roster, you can edit matches, you can just basically do all the normal stuff that you've done before, which is really standard. But I'm just looking at this background and I think it looks absolutely beautiful. I'd quite like to see it animate though, but I guess we'll have to wait for that to see in person. Hopefully I'm going to get to see that because I'm really looking forward to playing the game this year. So fingers crossed we get invited to an early gameplay again this year, because I'm going to bring you the deep dive of this, because even though they've announced it, we don't know how it flows, we don't know how it's going to work, what universe mode is going to be different, what's changed, where things are. There's a lot of questions that are still being asked, and of course these things that they have right now for this that they've announced, I think the improvements are definitely good, but I'm waiting for significant ones when they get a bigger and better engine. But for now, they will do. As far as I'm concerned, good job, Visual Concepts. You've actually done enough for me to say, I will accept this. I will accept this as decent and not bad for an update for Universe Mode. It's certainly enough to keep me going until you get your new engine up and going, and we can go from there. But that was pretty much all of the Universe Mode stuff that's going on. Of course, I would love to get more information, but we're still waiting for that. But it's great that we're getting more information now about WWE 2K20 because it's being a little while. So don't forget to like and subscribe for more WWE 2K20 content as it drops, because we're covering everything this year as it comes out. So I will catch you guys in the next video.